Here's our agenda. We're going to start with a land acknowledgement. You guys are going to meet the sustainability team. If this is your first go around or your second one, you get to meet us again. We're going to go over procurement. Then we're going to go after DIY workshops, which are called basic stitches, cute as a button, embroidered up, and patchwork. Later, we're going to talk about smarter food shopping. We're going to get quizzical once again and do a Kahoot. Then we're going to have a Q&A session at the very end. Should you have some questions, we'll provide the answers. We'll start with a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land that we're gathered here today is the home and traditional land belonging to the Tongva Nation. Today, we come with respect and gratitude for the Tongva people who still consider themselves caretakers of this land. It is through their examples that we're reminded of our greater responsibility to care for Mother Earth and to take care of each other. Should you like to learn more about the indigenous people that were originally part of the land that you live on, you can go to native-land.ca and you can learn that information. Now we're going to meet the sustainability team and I'm going to pass it off to our intern, Jessica.
Thank you, Skip. My name is Jessica Ledesma and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. I am currently an undergraduate earth science major. And why sustainability? Well, I've always had an interest in sustainability and wanted to learn more about it while doing my part on campus with these ongoing efforts. And a fun fact about me is that I have 3 pugs, who are like my babies. I also really like plants and I like to crochet. But that's it for me. I'm going to pass it off to Chloe now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chloe Chavez. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. And my major is actually child development. And why sustainability? Ever since I adopted a vegan diet a little over 3 years ago, I became really passionate about how I can do my part to help the environment by any means, whether that's, buying stuff in zero waste or just eating less animal products, which is hence why I went vegan. And a fun fact about me is that I am a huge bookworm. Currently, I'm reading Crying in H Mart. It's a memoir. It's really good so far. And if you have any book suggestions, feel free to drop it in the chat below. And I'm going to pass it over to Skip.
Hello, I'm a staff member with the Office of Sustainability. My name is Skip. My pronouns are he, him, his. My major is environmental science, master's of science. I'm a grad student on campus. And why sustainability? Well, after working as an intern for the Office of Sustainability for about 1.5 years, I knew I wanted to help DH further develop green infrastructure and programming for future tutorials like you guys and for the neighboring communities since I'm a local kid. Fun fact is I love baseball and I'm a huge Dodger fan.
So I'm going to go over some of the learning outcomes from the procurement side. You're going to be able to understand and be able to define sustainability and sustainable procurement. Also consider ways in which you are currently making procurement decisions and identify new ways to integrate sustainability into your purchasing decisions. So what is sustainability? Sustainability is the ability to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So we have the triple bottom line, which stands for people, planet, and profits, and the 3 E's, which is environment, equity, and economics. So here you can see all of them integrated into one, and they really play off of each other. So those are really key elements when doing sustainable efforts. What is sustainable procurement? Sustainable procurement is more than just a conscious purchasing. It is the consideration that every purchasing decision we make has an impact both locally and globally. A purchase is just one step in the procurement process, but it plays a really big role. Current considerations would be price and quality versus sustainability considerations, the bigger picture, social, environmental, and economic impacts of goods and services. 4 aims of sustainable procurement. One, to minimize negative impacts of goods or services. Two, to minimize demand of non-renewable resources through reducing buying of such and or encouraging purchasing of recycled goods. And three, to ensure their fair contract prices and terms are applied and respected, at least meeting ethical, human rights, and employment standards. And number four is to promote diversity and equality through the supply chain. The role of consumers in sustainable procurement. As a consumer, what have you heard about sustainability in purchasing? I'm sure you've heard of responsible sourcing, ethical, fair trade, socially responsible, etc. Some other buzzwords that you might have heard of is green procurement, buying green, eco-friendly, environmentally friendly, and so on. But what does sustainable purchasing actually mean? And how do we do it? So from a linear to a circular economy, you can see that linear here is raw materials going into production, use, and then non-recyclable waste. And then we have the reuse economy, which is the raw materials production use, and it can either go into recycling or into non-recyclable waste. And then a circular economy is basically a circle. It's a never-ending loop of raw materials, production, use, and recycle and repeat. So consider the real costs. Consumers must consider all associated costs when purchasing. The financial cost is just the tip of the iceberg. As you can see in this image here, the price we pay in the stores does not include social, environmental, and economic costs. All of the externalities that you see, like deforestation, toxic exposure, climate change, and so much more. Life cycle analysis. It is important to consider the entire life from cradle to grave of the products and materials that we purchase. Where did it come from? Is it from natural resources, mining, to shipping and packaging, the fossil fuel combustions and greenhouse gas emissions? Also, how long we use this item, usually much shorter than before and after it is in our possession. And what happens when the item's useful life cycle ends? Are we putting it in the trash? Are we recycling? And the ability to even be recycled or reused. And I'm going to pass off the rest of this procurement to Chloe.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica. Why practice sustainable purchasing? Our purchasing decisions really matter. We vote with our dollars. Items that are profitable will continue to be made, and items that do not have high demand will not. When we do not purchase unsustainable items, we signal to manufacturers that we don't want those types of items or services, and they should change their business as usual. And another important thing is to really make your dollar count. Sustainable procurement takeaways. Consider the life cycle of goods and the bigger picture. Where does it come from? How long will it last? What happens when you are done with it? What are the associated costs? The second point is to give preference to sustainable products. Look for recycled content markers and third-party certification of sustainable practices on products and purchase those. Another tip is to avoid unnecessary consumption. Consider durable and/or thrift and secondhand items, which also really helps you save a lot of money. And the last point is to avoid single-use and disposable items since they are simply not sustainable. And right below there are some pictures of different labels that you could find in certain products indicating that they're sustainable and recyclable. So for our first demo, these are ways that you could sew to save your clothes. The first thing that I'm going to demonstrate is basic stitches for mending. So for example, you have like these favorite pair of leggings or pants that you really love and you've worn it out multiple times. But then sometimes, oh no, there's a hole. You see, these are my favorite biker shorts and oops, I don't know if you can see it. And I have a hole in them. It really sucks. But the first initial reaction would be like, ugh, they're not good anymore. I'm just going to throw them away, or I'm not going to really use them as much. But a good thing that you could do is you could sew with a needle and a thread to mend it. So what I did was I got a piece of thread, I looped one side into the needle, made sure I had both of the sides even, and then I tied 2 knots just to ensure that it's safely secure, to make sure it's knotted properly. Next thing you do is, for example, whatever clothing item you have, I put the item inside out because you don't want the little knot to be outside. And then find your hole where it's at. And then you kind of just start from where the stitching originally is. And then you just loop your needle from both ends of the thing. Thread the needle through. And there's one of your first stitches right there. So you see I have the end right here. Sorry if it's a little difficult to see. And then I have the other end right there. And then I just keep on stitching as many times until the hole is secure. Just keep on stitching. I'll just do a couple of stitches, for example, but that's pretty much the gist of stitching your clothes for mending. And it saves you a bunch of money to just reuse it. And it also makes your clothes last a lot longer. So as you can see, if I go from the inside out, my hole looks a little smaller because I did some of the stitches right here. They're right there. And I don't know if you could see the inside there, but there's some of the stitching right there. So the next thing I'm gonna also work on is some buttons. So there are some times where the buttons in our jeans or jackets or anything that has a button up falls off. And so I can show you all how to sew buttons. So it's not like you have to spend tons of money to go to a tailor or have to replace it completely. So I'm gonna get another needle and thread. You do the same exact thing with that. Let me go ahead and flip that over. I have my button of choice. And then I'm just gonna put the button on the desired fabric. Let me actually turn off my background so you could see a little better. Okay, there you go. I'll just have it at a blur. Let me go ahead and exit that out. Alrighty, so you get your needle and thread right here. Ooh, everything's getting a little tangled. Sorry about that. Right there. Then you get your button. And then the first thing you do is you sew from one end, from the opposite end of the button, sew it into one hole. And then sew it to the diagonal side. This is if you have a 4-prong button. You do that twice. Just repeat it. Can I do that one more time? Get that hole in there. You do that twice. And a tip that I really like to do when I'm sewing this is I like to put a little pin in between the stitch where I had it underneath to keep it secure. And then I'll do the other side. Just cross it over. Like so. Just one more stitch. And then you just keep on repeating these steps until you have the desired tightness. And what I like to do is I like to sew underneath the button, not into the buttonholes, just underneath the button where the fabric is. Loop it in there. So to ensure that your button is secure with the fabric. And then I go to the back piece and then I just do 3 basic stitches and then you're done. Then you just wrap it up. Here's a finished product I have of a button that's tightly secured. And then now I'm gonna pass it over to Jessica to show you some embroidered stitching and some patchwork.
Thank you. That was awesome, Chloe. So I got a little creative. I had some jeans here. I actually used the sleeves from one of our other workshops from the t-shirt bags to make this. It says Pearl, but here's the little white t-shirt, and I just sewed it on doing the exact same technique Chloe did, the under over, just to sew it on here. And then also over here, if you're not the best at doing the sewing, there's also fabric glue that you can use. I actually did fabric glue here, and then I did crochet yarn to do the flower in the middle here. But you can do whatever works for you. I just have random fabric, random yarn around the house, but you can totally customize it and make it personal to you. I think these are now my new favorite jeans, so just have fun with it. You can repair your old stuff or you can make new stuff. So it's really fun. Whatever you want to do with it, that's your choice, but it can come out really awesome. But from there, I think I'm going to pass it over to Skip.
Hello, hello. And we're going to be going over smart shopping now. So here's part of our session overview. In this session, you will learn ways to save money when purchasing food. We will provide tips to help you before going to the store, at the store, and when at home. The group will discuss how to effectively use foods that are less expensive when purchased in bulk and share their personal shopping tips. Are you a smart shopper? Eating better on a budget, 10 tips to help you stretch your food dollars, which, as we know, since we're all college students, need to go further than most people. All right, number 1, plan, plan, plan. Number 2, get the best price. Number 3, compare and contrast. Number 4, buy in bulk. Number 5, buy in season. Number 6, convenience costs. Go back to the basics. 7, easy on your wallet. 8, cook once, eat all week. 9, get your creative juices flowing. And 10, eating out. All right, we're going to be going over each one of these shortly in more detail. So before you shop, make sure to plan meals, okay? Think about what you have at home and what you need at the store. Make a shopping list. A list will help you stick to your plan and can save time. Get the best price. Use coupons and check grocery flyers to look for sales and to compare prices. Eat before you shop. Going to the store hungry could mean leaving with unnecessary items, and decide where to shop, larger chains versus smaller markets. And that just goes, across the board. When you plan meals, always it says, make a list. Sometimes, look inside the cupboard. You might be missing spices, or look inside the fridge. Sometimes you have leftovers. What can we make with those leftovers, right? You guys have to think about stuff like that. Search for savings. Look at store circulars and compare prices. Try to produce what is in season, as prices will typically be lower. See if your stores offer coupons in their circulars, on their website, or even on their mobile apps. As we know, we're in an increasing more and more digital world. If you don't get the circulars or the flyers, you guys can just check on the app. It tells you your nearest location in the store and what sales are going on. Always make sure to do that, guys. At the store, use unit prices to find the better buy. Buy in bulk, buy in season. Convenience costs, go back to the basics. Easy on your wallet. Make better beverage choices. Remember, empty calories, empty sugar, empty carbs, and product placement. What to do at home. Cook once, eat all week. Batch cooking can save time and money. Meal prepping is one of the ways that you can do that. Sometimes I understand that eating the same thing gets old, but the time that you're saving and not cooking throughout the week could help you in homework time, studying for a test, or if you just want time to chill and just Netflix, you know, because we all got to recharge our battery. Get your creative juices flowing, use leftovers in new ways, you know. One of the resources that I always say, Google, underappreciated. You could just type in, hey, you know, I have this leftover chicken breast and I have such and such in the cupboard. It'll give you a brand new thing to try. If you like it, cool, add it to the recipe book. If not, now you know what not to try later, you know, you never lose. Eating out, cooking at home more often or to go out to lunch instead of dinner. Look for deals or specials such as 2-for-1 deals. You know, I didn't even know this. You know, my intern Jessica told me that the lunch specials are usually smaller and cheaper. So if you are going to go eat out, you can, you know, grab a 6-inch sandwich instead of the foot long, you know, that helps. All right, how to use food bought in bulk, whether it's a gift, something on sale, or a bag at the food pantry. Items in bulk can save you money. Think of ways that you could use the following items when purchased in bulk. You know, what could you do with a 2-pound can of tuna? Well, you know, well, we can make sandwiches, we can make tuna salad, we could just, you know, eat it with crackers, you know, and tuna is one of those things that saves really well through multiple days, you know. I wouldn't say keep it 2 weeks, but like, you know, 3 to 4 days is a good amount of tuna. A family pack of pasta, you know. I know everyone has their opinions when it comes to what's the best sauce, Alfredo, you know, typical tomato or basil or a pesto, you know, but like with a family pack of pasta, everyone's happy because you could just cook the pasta and, you know, integrate the different sauces throughout the day. That's if, again, if you can stand eating the same thing on multiple days. 3-pound can of peas. What can you do with 3 pounds of canned peas? Well, you can eat the peas by themselves. You can throw them in a chicken soup. You can throw them in a beef stew, you know, or you can make it into some sort of vegetable salad, like um, 3 pounds of rice and beans. Now, rice and beans is the great equalizer because there's not one meal that I eat personally that doesn't involve rice and beans. So I can put a protein in it. I can eat it just by itself. You know, I can make like a chicken fried rice, you know, but beans on the side, you know, don't put them in there because that's not a good combination. But yeah, just think about what you can do with all those things, guys. Let me know your favorite things to do with some of these things in the chat. And now we're gonna do our Kahoot. So let me stop my share and bring up my other screen. And right now, while we're switching over, let's see if there's anybody that put in their chat, if Jessica or Chloe wants to do a special shout out to some of the things that the audience would like to do with.
Well, I wanted to mention when Skip was listing all of the ingredients that you could use for meal prepping, before I went vegan, I also typed it in the chat as well. My mom would used to make a really good tuna casserole, and she would use like spaghetti pasta, like her own like creamy white sauce, canned tuna, peas, and then like the fried crunchy onions. And then she would just mix it up, and it was really good. It was really good. You should definitely try out that recipe.
Also, another good one is if you cut up fruit, you can have it throughout the week, but then you can also throw some of it in the freezer and have your smoothies for the morning. If you eat chicken or any type of meat, I know it's really easy to just, maybe you'll have chicken one day, the next day you can throw it into a salad, and then you can do a burrito or a bowl. So you can always switch it up just so it doesn't feel so repetitive, but you can stretch out any type of food that you want, but creativity is endless here.